Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for kickoffs and kick-ons.
Yes, good morning and welcome to the KOKO match review on the morning of the Wallabies' worst ever defeat, 67-27 to Los Pumas there in Santa Fe. What a great time for us to jump on and do a match review. Joining me now, looks... Yes.
Would you believe too, I just burnt my tongue eating the food.
Oh, it keeps getting worse.
What a day.
Just not a morning for Australians. Maybe we just go back to bed and wake up on Monday. Maybe that's the go. Joining me now from what looks like a business class lounge
First class.
is the great... Sorry, Matt Giddo?
First class.
Of course it is. Don't know whether our Wallabies will be sitting in that lounge on the way home from Argentina. And joining me is a first-class legend, Drew Mitchell. Gents, who would like to go first? Who would like to find some diamonds in this big pile of poo?
Mate, I thought our anthem was belted out very well. That was a good start. I think we started, the conditions suited us and we looked like we had a lot of energy. And attacking with the ball, it was almost like maybe it happened too easy and then we relaxed a little bit, went away from our game plan. I thought there was some real positives in that first 20 to 30 minutes of the game. But defensively, even in that first 20 to 30 minutes when we were dominant with the ball, I thought defensively we just looked very easy, not just to open up, but just to give away meters. If they had played wide, they just gained 30 meters, not really throwing much at us. So that's probably the biggest concern from my point of view would be the defensive side. I thought the attack was great. They showed good variety. Obviously, in the second half, they couldn't get their hands on the ball too much. But in that first 20 to 30 minutes, there was some nice variety there. I thought Ben Donaldson did well. There was some nice... I really like when he gets out the back. There was one time when Hamish Stewart stepped up to play 10. He played to the forwards. And then Dono gets that little trigger ball out the back off that pot of forwards. It's very similar to what he was doing at the Western Force with Kurtley Beale. I think that line suits him tremendously, and it takes the team forward on the front foot. So there were positives, weren't too many of them. And as you touched upon, I didn't know that that's the largest score that we've ever had. So that's probably my summation there. That's the best I can go. It's obviously disappointing, especially off the back of such a hard-fought win last week.
Yeah, I mean, that's the concern, isn't it? Off the back of a win last week in tough conditions, then you get conditions that arguably suit both teams. We start well. I thought the defensive line-out was also another strong point. I thought Jeremy Williams in particular did some really good work there, putting pressure on their line-out and winning a number of balls up in that set piece. But yeah, I mean, I guess to your point around defensively, I think, there's probably twofold. It's off that set piece, they're basically sort of throwing the same play at us each time, which is that sort of Emmett play, which goes to 12, and then that sort of ball out the back to the looping 10 and then going wide. And we just had two softer edge and they're just getting too many meters. But we weren't changing the picture. And, one of our great guys who's busy today, Swoop, like when he was sort of the leader of the defensive line, if we're getting the same picture from the attack, we'd start, like he'd make a decision to say, like, let's change it. We might blitz on this one or you change up the picture you're giving as a defensive unit to the attack and you try and shut it down. But they just kept doing the same thing. And Argentina were great. They were just like, well, if you're going to keep giving us a soft edge, we'll just keep taking it. And then not only were they getting meters, then it's behind the defensive line. We're having to retreat. And then they get the big forward players off the back of that. You get momentum. And then the other part of our defense, which was poor today, was any time they got down into our defensive sort of 22 area, it was almost... inevitable in terms of when they were going to go and score that try. So, plenty to work on. I mean, it was a tough watch towards the end of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I know the Los Pumas taking those taps 10 metres out rather than kicking to touch in the line out. Have they found another part of our soft underbelly there? We haven't seen that before.
The flog Pumas. You know, we were
Sorry.
calling
Yeah.
that's our mistake. We set them up, calling them the Los Pumas.
Yes.
They came
Now
out
we're
and
the
showed
Lost
us that they're
Wallabies.
not the Los Pumas. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was probably the most concerning part for me is that we brought on changes. You brought on your bench that's or finishers as they're referred to now, where they're supposed to finish the game. And even though the game got out of reach, the way you don't want to say gave up because I'm sure these guys were trying hard, but as you said, that soft underbelly and just letting in simple tries, it seemed to. That's probably the most disappointing part was just that last 20 minutes or the last 10 minutes even when they just went try to try to try, and you're just going like, I mean,
Yeah.
I want to throw the phone, but I knew I had to do this record.
Well, and
You
that's the
don't.
other thing, right? Like, so improv. You look at the game before with the Springboks, for example, like the impact they get off their bench is incredible, and it wouldn't even just be the eight on the bench. It could have been any one of 15 players that Rassie Erasmus could have picked. Like they've got a deep squad, and you look at the impact we had off our bench, and I know this might seem like it's nitpicking, but you're getting a 9 and 10 in Tate McDermott and Liner come on, and their first two involvements are aimless kicks. Like you've got to go on and have an immediate positive impact. And I know sometimes when the momentum's not going away, you're trying to you try probably maybe force your hand a little bit too much, and it turns out to not go the way that you want it. But that's just like that's where we got to get to. Like we've got to make sure that when we actually make these tactical changes and substitutions that you're rewarding that from the to the coach with positive impacts and sure those boys did some good things. I thought Tony McDermott's little tap to score the try. One was it was a great decision, but also did really well to finish in some really high traffic. To get over the line there. So they are doing some good things, but it's also momentum in that point of the game was just so incredibly against us. You have to come on. You can't add to that. You've got to make sure you change that and try and arrest that momentum back to the Wallabies side.
I think also in those areas, you look to your leaders too. Young guys, you're going to be overwhelmed. Tries are starting to happen. You bury your head. This is a new arena for you. It's time for our leaders, those experienced players, I think, to stand up and actually do something that's going to change momentum. Do a big hit. Make a nice run. Come up with a creative play. Just something to shift momentum. It just seemed like once we lost momentum in the second half, we just could not get it back. You
Yeah,
really only needed one play or hang in there tough during the tough times because that's what I think makes really good test teams is everyone can be great when you're on the front foot and you've got the ball like we were the first 20, 30 minutes. The great teams, the really good test teams, are the ones that when you've got your back up against a wall, you're not leaking points. You're hanging in there, you're staying tough, you're just trying to find your way as a group to get that momentum back. As you know, you touched on that Springboks All Blacks game. The Springboks didn't let in one try, and the All Blacks have a phenomenal attack, and they were relentless and kept going. But the people that made the difference were your big leaders. Peter
yeah,
Steph Detroit. You've got your Dearlander. You know, those experienced players
yeah,
stepped up and made big plays to help them.
You with 10 minutes to go, it was 41-27, Goit, and on our WhatsApp you put up, right, we can still tie this. Like we
Yeah.
can
Yep.
and then
Yep.
it went from 41 to 67. What the fuck? Like
Yeah.
how
I
does
was
that
wrong.
happen?
I was wrong. No, but I thought watching the game, it didn't look like both teams' defense, like the attack was unreal. I thought it was an entertaining game to watch. If you were a neutral fan, this was a pretty entertaining game. Lots of tries, but defensively, I thought both teams looked shaky and easy, not easy to break, but easy to make meters on and potentially score. And that's why I was optimistic. You know, when Tate scored that try, Liner, great conversion from the sideline. I thought, you know, we're a chance to tie this. We get the kickoff, we play wide or do something, but then we didn't. I think we did. It was a kick receipt. We went to a box kick, gave the ball back to them. They then score. I
yeah,
just. I think also off our kick receipt, we probably need to be a little bit more adventurous or have not just the box kick option, because there's so
yeah,
much pressure was on Jake Gordon, especially early on. If we've got that run option or just playing with a little bit more width, um, I don't know. It's just the variety. I mean, and it's very easy to nitpick now because we lost. But yeah, it's just I think it's the fashion that we lost, and that last 10 minutes is probably it's not a great sign for where we're at.
Yeah, we've definitely
No.
taken steps back from last week. I think we can all agree since with Joe Schmidt, it's been like a build, right? We're going in the right trajectory, but this performance here, we've taken a number of steps back. I think also just the amount of times we just gave ball over, whether it be through lost ball or like Jorgo went out into touch 2 times, pretty much his 2 touches in a row, like those types of things. Like as a winger, you've got to get off that outside foot and step back in. And I know he's a young fellow and he's learning, but it's a tough arena to be learning. Those simple things that you do as a winger from the time you're a kid. And it becomes more obvious and more impactful when you don't have momentum, you're chasing a game, and you've got a team that's built on momentum and also like the crowd's behind them, and then you're just giving them up more ball, like in good field position as well. So, look, there's plenty to go away and to look at for this game, and I'd say the review once they get back into town is probably going to be quite a long one, but I thought Kellaway was pretty impressive at fullback. I think he looked pretty comfortable there.
Yep.
I like how he kind of he puts himself in that attacking line and just provides another option. He just looked calm and safe there as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously there's a decision made once Righty comes back from his injury, but
I thought
look, there are some
Len
green
as well.
shoots.
Len Ikitau. Len
Yeah,
Ikitau, I thought he did really well. The boys
yeah.
did look gassed though. Like they looked tired. Quite early on in the second half, and I know both teams are playing and it was hot, but whether that's travel or I don't know, but I mean we noticed it even on our group chat. We're like, geez, the boys look pretty gassed. And there was an attacking style of game, but both teams were playing that style, and we seemed a little bit more out in our feet than the Argentinians.
Well, I mean, even to see Taniela Tupou get subbed before the half time, and now we don't know if it was through injury, and even in the halftime coverage of the broadcast, Lukan Salakai Loto couldn't confirm whether it was injury or just a substitute. But if he's not able to get through half a game of footy, like that's also concerning. Like it's we know it's tough. They had a water break at 25-minute mark for both sides because it was hot, but it's tough going. It's a tough watch.
Yeah. Well, we had in the MLR when you're in America, you've got ad breaks. Not that we're promoting a lot. There's probably 4 people watching the games, but every 20 minutes you'd get your water break. So that was a nice touch. They got it 25.
Yeah,
Well, it kind of it was because it was a bit of a momentum shifter. Like we had the ascendancy, and then the ref calls a water break.
Yeah,
and they
but
get
I think
a
both
minute and a
teams
half
would
to
know
sit
about
back
that.
on some water.
Yeah, but before the game, they'll sit there and say, all right, it's at 30, and both teams will be consulted, and they'll say sort of around the 20-minute mark or whatever, and then probably just wait for a bit of a stoppage. But yeah, you're right. It probably didn't work in our favour, but I mean, at the same time, like if you're getting rattled by a drink break, then you should be able to arrest that momentum back at some point.
Mate,
Yes.
they might have brought on vodka for our boys. Who knows what happened? What do you think, Prof? Like what you always say, look, I'm not the expert, but you still have an opinion. Like what do you think?
To me, 30 minutes in, we looked tired and they ran over the top of us. So where we came out of the gate, played at a pace, played quick, you could just feel the momentum shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like they literally they found energy and we lost ours completely. And I thought, okay, maybe half-time break, we'd find it again, but we didn't. I don't know if they have been eating too many meats over there or what is it, empanadas or Malbecs or whatever it is. They just looked exhausted.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We Hoops on the coverage pointed out this is a very good Argentinian team. Like they beat the All Blacks in New Zealand, beat the French at home, made it to the semi-final of the World Cup. Like maybe not 67-27 good, but they're a good side.
I agree. They're a very good attacking team. But if we lost to the Springboks, who are number 1 in the world, 67-27, you'd say, gee, something's up. Like 40 teams, we shouldn't be 40 points. We shouldn't be losing international rugby to any side by 40 points. I believe.
Yeah, and that's the concerning thing, right? Is the fashion of the loss. Like you could cop a loss to a really quality side in Argentina, but to to kind of let it blow out to 40 points in the end, that's probably the concerning part. And also, like, you've got to feel a little bit for slips as well, equaling George Gregan's
Oh, yeah.
all-time cap, and that's going to be one he'll remember forever. But, I guess it's going to be a bittersweet one because great achievement for he and his family, but then, it's not going to be one he wants to remember, in terms of the result.
No, you could imagine doing the speech. You'd feel somewhat, not that he should feel embarrassed, but you'd imagine he'd feel that way. Like he should be very honoured. And I would have, and that was something that I said. I said, I would have loved the boys to, it's almost like the Melbourne Storm. Anytime there's a milestone game, they get up for it. I would have liked this team to, show a bit more, four slips and for the occasion. Yeah.
Now, let's move on from that one. Let's all take a moment, deep breath. I can see Joe Schmidt on the coverage right now. He doesn't look overly happy. Joe looks a bit Schmitty. So I'm sure he'll get the boys in and he'll give them a good rev up. He's got the Schmitz hard. Both of you, the Springboks, you touched on it, Gitz.
Yep.
That's 4 times in a row they've beaten the All Blacks. Haven't done it since 1949. I mean, this team is something special.
To hold it was just the way they did it, because the All Blacks, I felt like it looked like they were in control. They were the dominant team. Like when the Springboks had the ball, the All Blacks were getting off the line and there were a couple of aimless kicks. There were some loose passes. It just looked uncharacteristic for, the South African team that we're used to. The pressure that the All Blacks were putting on them. I think they're leading at the half, 9-3. They come out, and the Springboks, though, to their credit, in the first half, they turned down 2 or 3 shots at goal at 3 points. They wanted to go to the line out. They didn't get the reward they wanted. Second half, another shot at goal. They had the opportunity, went to a line out, got a penalty, again, in front of the sticks, went back to another line out, got a try, and then from then on, once they got in front, 10-9, they just no Test rugby. They strangled them, they strangled the All Blacks out of it. I thought Peter Steptoe, like, he is a beast. Like, that bloke is genuinely made of granite. Our boy Quagga, I found out, is an old zebra. It's a nickname. That's not his real name.
Yeah, his real name is Albertus
name?
Stephanus.
Yeah, because
that's a good name.
I was like, I love this bloke. We need to get him a nickname. And they're like, do you reckon his parents called him after a prehistoric zebra? I was like, what? And they showed me the picture of this zebra. Anyway, I'm getting away from the game. But Diolande, he got man of the match. He was outstanding with his carries. I actually think the All Blacks had an opportunity. If Damien McKenzie missed a shot from in front, probably around 35 out, you never want to blame kickers, because I thought he actually had one of his better games. But I think if that kick went over with about 10 to go, it would have put the All Blacks in front, and maybe you would have seen a different game. But when they missed that, the Springboks were able to get their way down the other end, score off the maul. Malcolm Mark scored in the corner, and then it was almost like, okay, these guys have been here before. They know how to close a game out, and then that's what happened. But yeah, I mean, huge moment for them. The anthem, watching the anthem, I don't like. Obviously, it worked for me in the time zone here, but the whole crowd was singing it as hard as Sia Khaleesi sings it. Like to see the passion that they have for their sport, I would love. Yeah, that's what I want for us. I want us to get back to that, being a strong nation, but also having that support. You can just see what it means to them. Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible game. The first half, it was just like, you're tense, when you're watching those games and you feel like you haven't had a moment to breathe. It was like that. So, yeah. Phenomenal test match. Great that South Africa got the opportunity to win the Freedom Cup, but I thought Cody Taylor from New Zealand was immense as well. As was Satutu. Satutu, is that him? Satiti, yes. Satiti from the Chiefs. He had a phenomenal game as well.
Yeah. What about our little mate Chesdog thrown into a line out, and then a couple of phases after, Sia Khaleesi scores a try? I mean, like, this guy can do anything.
Yeah, and it was weird because he quickly swapped with Malcolm Marx through the line out. The maul didn't really go anywhere, And then the halfback just plays, or they break off out, and it was just like a normal movement. He actually didn't do anything. Malcolm
Yeah,
Mark probably could have thrown the line out.
But that's the thing, right? Sometimes when you go to someone like a Cheslin, and Malcolm's on the field, and they're doing something different, it makes the defence sit there and go, okay, what's coming? Maybe nothing is coming, but it's got them thinking about something, or watch a short side, or you're on high alert now because they're doing something so different. So some of it probably not to actually do anything different. It's just to make them start to second guess or think things.
Well, that's exactly what he did. He threw it and then he dropped back straight to the pocket. It's almost like we're going to go a strike play back down the left, and then they open it to the right.
And then they end up scoring the open side.
He has gone from strength to strength ever since we got into his ear and got him on the show.
Yeah.
I heard in the post-match.
Yeah, go.
Post-match, he thanked us in the post-match. I don't know if you saw the interview. He said, "Want to thanks Prof, Goy, Biv, Swoop."
I thought that got cut off. He was about to say, "I want to thank." They said, "Sorry, we've got to go to see you," and he was in the middle of doing it. So
I got a different feed. I get the director's cut, so I saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
He even thanked Hugo. He thanked Tommy. He thanked Ollie. Everybody, the whole team. Wow. So
he's a good man.
Not for Swoop. Swoop didn't get up.
No, because Swoop didn't wake up for this, so he hates
it's his day.
No, listen. Everybody love everybody. That's my new motto. We're being positive.
You're a beautiful man. You're a beautiful man. Hey, let's leave it there, boys. Thanks for joining me on a Sunday morning. Records broken. One positive, one not so positive.
Hearts broken.
But the beauty of sport? The beauty of sport is it's on again. Well, not next week, but it's going again. So we get behind the boys. We've got the All Blacks. It'll be the first Bledisloe. There's still a trophy for us to get, and it'll be Slips. Hopefully he starts, and it'll be a record-breaking occasion. So hopefully it'll be a good occasion for Australian rugby.
And both teams wounded, right? Wallabies off a record loss, and then the All Blacks 2 losses to South Africa over there. So it'll be an afternoon footy here in Sydney.
Yes.
Going to be great. What's on for your Sunday, boys? Anything exciting?
I'll probably go back to bed.
I'm about to board a 15-hour flight.
And sorry, you, Biv?
I'll probably just go back to bed.
Fantastic. All right, very good. I'm going to look after my children. You probably saw one of them come and sit with us during the show. Okay, that was the KOKO match review for your Sunday. Yes, unfortunately, Wallabies going down 67-27, and the All Blacks getting up 18-12. We will see you.
No.
Springboks. The Springboks getting up. I know. I've just turned the whole of South Africa against us. I'm sorry.
Not against
Springboks
us, against you.
Getting up. That's fine. No, they love you guys. I can be the villain. Springboks 18-12. Historic win for them as well. All right. We'll see you, I guess, tomorrow or the next day or whenever it comes out. We'll see you soon. Give us one. Oh, wow. That is the best video on YouTube. You know what you need to do now? You need to like and subscribe down there. Or if you want extra content, might be down there, you need to go up here or up here and get more of that gear. Thanks for supporting Kickoffs and Kick-Ons, and we will see you very soon.